Okay, so just confirm me. I mean, if you could able to see my screen as well. I would like to have a two-way interaction.
Yes, you can do.
You could able to see my screen.
Yes.
Cool. So last session which we have done on last Friday, we could able to cover up the total 6 topics, I guess. One is cybersecurity, SOC, SIEM, and basic terminology, security technical terms, self-introduction, and incident lifecycle, which is one of the foremost starting topic of our cybersecurity. So I just wanted to confirm, like, out of these new joiners, or like whoever joined in the middle, how many of you are new today? I mean, this is your first session, so that I'll have some understanding on that point. Okay, so I think everybody are have joined last week only, right?
Vishal,
Yeah.
uh, uh, today is my first class,
Okay.
as you know.
Right. Right. And also, Suman, I think this is your second session, comparatively last.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Cool. No worries. So I think for you guys, I will be taking 2 sessions. Uh, would you be interested? I mean, if you can come down to the office or institute today, or I will also take the online session, but I cannot confirm on the timing. Once I reach to the institute, I could able to tell you, so that I'll bring you down to the same level of I mean, on the same page. So I think 2 sessions will be more than enough, or I'll try to cover it up in one session by extending my hours. Okay, Suman. So
Okay.
yeah, see, those are the basic topics only. I mean, need not to worry. Uh, so let me share my screen. 1 second. I think you also done with the assessment last week, right? See, the only plan is, like, whenever we are doing the session on a daily basis, on every fifth day, I wanted to take the session, so that that would be better for you, and also it is easy for you to make sure how far you have understood the sessions, and how far you are following. It's kind of like, you prepare on a weekly basis only. It will be little easy for you, and if you are struck anywhere, maybe we can review in the weekend session. So that's make your job, my job easier, and we'll try to finish it off the theory part as early as possible. Okay. As told, like, in the initial sessions, cybersecurity is an extended topic of network and system admin. See, the basically, like, as a cybersecurity analyst or a SOC analyst, you should able to understand the networking concepts, how this works. So, and this relate to, like, on a day-to-day operations which we carry out, and the kind of, like, analysis we do. So it is foremost important for you to understand, like, what device, what is their functionalities, and what are their characteristics. So in terms of that, like, we will not dig into deeper understanding, or probably, like, we don't focus much on the the detailed information, but we will be only covering the overall understanding of what that particular device is meant for, and what is the characteristic of that particular device, and in what way it will helps us to understand the cyber security on a general basis. So we have cut short those networking concepts into very few. We will need to understand what is network interface card, which is also called as NIC, and what is MAC, what is IP, and what what types of IPs are there, and what is their classifications and difference between public and private IPs, and other networking devices, like what switch does, what hub does, what packet does, what router does, and in general, how the computer network will function. So that includes like LAN, WAN, MAN, and these are the extended topics of the networking. So after the most important topic in cybersecurity, as we have discussed last week, which is the incident response. Now, in the networking concepts, one of the foremost important topic is OSI concept, which is also have an equal importance in terms of our day-to-day operations are concerned, in terms of analysis is concerned, and also in terms of the interview. OSI concepts are very, very important. So that we will be covering, because I think this session will have yeah, this session has from sixth page we are doing, so 6, 7, 8, 9, so 10th page consists of the OSI layer. So we'll try to finish it off today with the basic networking concepts, and tomorrow we will try to do, or land up in the OSI layers, understanding the OSI concepts. So the first topic as per our session is networking concepts. In the networking concepts, we would like to know the NIC. So NIC is nothing but network interface card. So basically it enables computer to connect to a network, and it turns data into the electrical signals that can be transmitted over a network. So obviously, I mean, you wanted to, you would have like two or more devices, or computers or laptops, which are connected over a network, and you wanted to communicate with these two devices. So basically, you should have one interface which will convert the data into the electrical signal, because like the main source, or the main information is passed between two machines, are basically need to have that interaction, and this could be achieved with the electrical signal. So the data will be converted into the electrical signal with the a device called network interface card. So that device is known as NIC, right? So, and MAC. What is MAC address? So this MAC address, perhaps you don't see much or talk about the NIC in the SOC operations regularly, but then when you're doing your analysis part in the cybersecurity operations, or as a SOC L1 analyst, you would be witnessing these terminology very frequently, like what is MAC, because you actually see like what is the MAC number, and what are the IPs which exist in the process of doing the analysis. And you could able to see a few of the terminologies, the packet, router. These are the most common things which you will be seeing or analyzing on a day-to-day activities in the SOC operations. So the MAC is nothing but understand, we deal with the systems, we deal with the supporting endpoints which are required to communicate in the network. So each device which is available, and which is meant to communicate from one or two other sources. So that particular machine or laptop or computer or any device in such case will have a standard number which has been designated by the manufacturer. So that will not change. So if you see, like, even your mobile number has some MAC address. So that MAC address will be given by the manufacturer and it will not change. So so in detail, as per the definition, it is concerned as every NIC card having the hardware address that known as MAC. So so the definition says, like, every hardware device consists of a NIC card. So basically that hardware is capable to communicate from with one machine to another machine, or one device to another device, which will have the ability to convert the data from which will have an ability to convert the data to electrical signals, and that's how the communication is achieved. And this particular device will be having a specific non-changeable uh, address which is called MAC. So that, in other terms, it will called as media access control. So this basically consists of six set two digits or characters separated by colon. So if you see this example, typically if you look at the laptop at the backside, or probably your mobile device, if you look at the uh, about page of your mobile or any of the computer, this will have the MAC address, which will consist of set of two digits followed with a semicolon, and it will be a combination of alphanumeric. If you see this example, 00 colon 0A 83 AB CF 67. So that's how it would be. So for us, during the analysis of like any of the incident or the alert, so we want to understand, like, which machine has been involved in that particular scenario. And with the help of MAC address only, we could able to understand, like, what type of a device it would be. And that particular hardware device will have a temporary address which is known as IP. So once the device is connected over an internet, now that particular device need to have some standard path, and that path will be given with the help of IP address. So IP address is something like, the device which is taking or seeking a help in terms of connecting to the network, and that in the network over an internet will be achieved with the help of internet protocol. So that is called IP address. Now how that will be, it is a logical address used to communicate with other devices, and it is a value of 32-bit or 4 octets. In other way, the example says it is having four numerics followed with dots. In our example, we have 192, 145, 2.3. So this will have a range of like this, and also the possibilities of the IPs and IP addresses could be 4.3 billions. So that is the maximum range which will have an allocation. So in other way, I mean, in other terms, like, how you would able to understand this MAC and the IP addresses. Yeah, how do you understand on a better way in terms of understanding MAC and the IP addresses? Something. For example, you are the one, like, you have been born, and you have a standard name which has been given by your parents, right? So for example, like, myself, my name is Vishal and I have a surname, so that completes my name, and it has been given to me. And in the society, or wherever I'm going, so the people will try to identify with my surname and my name. So this is basically given by the parents, and the society has been recognized, and it will not change. The similar thing for any device which is capable of connecting to a network will have a standard name that will not be changed. Now to add the internet protocol address. So if I am born and my name is designated like this, but when people ask, like, where do you stay, so I have some address, right? I have a physical address which will represent me. Okay, my name is Vishal and I stay in Sun City or XYZ place, and which I have a standard location where I could be able to designate myself and I could able to communicate, right? So that address is nothing but the IP address. So it will give a path, it will give some location, and it will have some identity. Now your location can change. I mean, now I at this moment I am staying here in Sun City. Probably you guys are staying in Amirpet or maybe SR Nagar. At this point of time, I mean 7:45. Vishal is located at this location, and probably, like, after 11 o'clock he may not be there in this particular location. I can be there in Amirpet. So my name is not changing, but the thing is my locations are changing from time to time. So in other way, you are carrying out your laptop, and your laptop or machine is or your phone is connected to this particular location at that particular network at this point of time. Probably, I mean, when you're relocating or finding a new location, then again your device is connected to another locality or location which will have another IP address. So what I'm trying to say is your path will be changing on a timely basis. Whenever you're connecting to the different location, you will be, connected to a different network. At that point, your IP addresses will change on a regular basis. Once you are connected to my your home network, you will have a standard IP address. Once you move out from that location and you connect to in your office, and you will be having another IP address. So MAC address will not change. IP address will change based on the network connectivity from where you are trying to communicate. Got it? I hope this will clear your doubt in understanding the difference between MAC and the IP address. So in general, the IP addresses are being classified into two types, which are called public IP and private IP. And at this point of time, don't look at the classifications of the IP addresses. Just try to understand the range from where it starts. And of course, like, I don't want you to complicate yourself by digging in deeper through this topic, because over a course of period, over a matter of time, when we are doing the real time sessions, you will understand the classifications of this private IP and public IP in a better way. At that time, I will again remind you the difference between the public IP and private IP. So basically, you at this moment need to understand how the private IP starts from, and public IP. So in general, if you look at the private IP, class A or class B or class C, so we will choose, like, class A. Now it says class A starts from 10.0.0.0 and 10.25 225 225. So this is the range. And if you look at the any of these classifications which will not have the same class A like class A addresses, like it is not starting from 10 dot, and it doesn't even have uh, any of this except 192. 172 is also not available. So in general, if I talk about, like, how do you relate the IP addresses or compare with the public IP and private IPs, then the private IP which starts from 10 dot 192 dot, sorry, 172 dot 192 dot, are specifically, we by default call it as private IP. And except the IP addresses which start from other than 10 dot or 172 or 192 are considered to be a public IP. Got it? Clear? Let me give some example on this. So as I said, okay, let me give you an example. For example, if I'm saying 1.12.13.11, what is this? Is it a private or a public? You can see my screen, right? Yeah, guys, you can see my screen. Please confirm me whether you could able to see or no.
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
sir.
Yeah. So
Yes, we can.
out of our this example in the classification of private and public, so I'm giving you one IP address. Now tell me, this falls under which category? Will that be a private IP or a public IP? Okay, let me give another one. This one, is it a private IP or a public IP?
And that is private IP.
The
Right,
first one
private.
is public
Right,
class A.
right. Another one. This one, is it a private or public? Yeah. 3 and 4, which IPs, I mean, for which it belongs. Look at only the class A. Don't worry about the class B and class C. Just a wild guess.
Third one is private IP.
Both? Yeah. Both are private IPs. So in other way, what I'm trying to say is the whichever is starting from 10.xyz or 192.xxxx or 172.xxxxx are considered as private IPs, and rest you can by default say it is a public IP. Got it? Very simple. Whichever starts from 10 dot or 192 dot 172 dot are considered as private IP, and rest are public IP at this moment. I mean, I'm not going in deeper, because at the practical scenarios you could able to understand the class A, class B, class C, and right now we don't want to bang our heads by understanding that. So only thing is, uh, the IP address which starts from 10 dot or 172 dot or 192 are private, and rest of all are considered as public IPs. Okay, now the basic difference of public and private. So public IP address are the IP address issued by the ISP. Now what is ISP? Is internet service provider. Okay, internet service provider, like in your Act Fiber is an internet service provider, your Geo Broadband is an internet service provider, your Airtel is an internet service provider. So the company who provides the internet are called as ISPs. So in detail, I mean, we talk about, like, these are the one who provides the internet. ISP, internet service providers. Example is Fibernet, Geo Broadband, or Airtel Broadband. Okay. సో మనం చేసే అనాలిసిస్లో కూడా ఎవ్రీ టైం మనకు వచ్చే ఐపీ అడ్రస్ ఎక్కడి నుంచి వస్తుంది అండ్ ఆ ఇంటర్నెట్ సర్వీస్ ప్రొవైడర్ ఎవరు అనేది మనం ఐడెంటిఫై చేస్తాం అండ్ రెప్యుటేషన్స్ చెక్ చేస్తాం. కాబట్టి మనకి ఇది అవసరం. ఐపీ అడ్రస్ అంటే ఏంటి, ఐఎస్పి అంటే ఏంటి అనేది తెలియాలి. సో public IP address which is routable worldwide, and it is registered and it is paid. It is not free of cost. Okay, so if you wanted to opt any of these public IPs, basically your service provider will be giving or dedicates the IP address, and which is paid version. And the other way, private IP address are issued by the router. Now you have a router at your home or at the office, right? So this will be separated by the router locally, and these are non-routable and these are unregistered. Okay, so at this point of time, like just keep it for yourself, like public IPs are the IPs which are except 10.172. or 192 are classified or said as public IP, and the private IPs are 10.172. or 192, and these are non-routable, and this will be issued by the router, and these are unregistered, wherein public IPs are issued by the ISPs. Now the ISPs are internet service providers, and these are routable worldwide, and these are registered, and these are paid. Correct? Clear? Hope this. And let's come back to the network devices. So we talk about switch, hub, packet, and router as we discussed just now, and also we'll have computer network, LAN WAN, and subnetting. So today we will try to get little more into the topic of understanding the network devices. So let's understand the switch. Now basically switch is nothing but, like in a basic, in a general terminology, I mean in your residential or home or wherever you are there, I mean if you wanted to plug in anything, basically you will turn on the switch. And if you don't want it is the services, or like you don't want that particular light or fan, so basically you will turn it off. So it basically depends on your usage and utility. This switch will function as per your needs. In the similar way, in the network as well, a network switch connects two devices together on a single computer network. A switch is also called as switch hub, bridging hub, or MAC bridge. Switches use MAC addresses to forward the data to the correct destination. So basically, like switch will have a control. That's what it means, and it will basically have the connectivity, and it will uses the MAC address to designate which for which machine or which device, whether the services would required or not, and based on that, like this switch will have the control. So to have another understanding, like a switch is considered as layer 2 device. Now the layer 2 device is the layer 2, which specifically says that it comes under the OSI concepts. In the OSI concept we have a layer 2. So in that you will have an understanding on, like why we call it as switch as a layer 2 device. We will come back to that point or that discussion, and you will have a better understanding on the switch, why it is called as layer 2 device. And operating at the data link layers, and switches use packet switching to receive, process, or forward data. So these are some of the, like the links which could able to understand, or the difference between the switch and the router. You can get it here. Anyways, you have this soc.pdf, right? When you are reviewing it, you will have a little more understanding on the switch. Okay, so the other one is the hub. Now the hub is exactly the opposite of the switch. So network hubs are also called as repeaters, are even less advanced than switches. So while a hub broadcasts the same data to all its ports. A network switch forwards data only to those devices that the data is intended for. The network hubs do not manage any traffic coming through them. They only broadcast or repeat, and another way, package from an incoming port to all the ports. Now, in a simple way of understanding the hub is, it acts like, you have a hotspot in your mobile, right? The hotspot is basically used to share the internet to the other devices. Yes or no? Yes. Now, if your hotspot doesn't have a uh, password, I mean, if you're not keeping your hotspot password, then it is like, by unidirection, like, it doesn't have any control. Whoever is joins the network and they will access your data. When you keep a particular password, then it is restricted. And another way, it will act like a switch. That means you have the control to whom to share, or like, which device you need to share. Got it. So hub is like, non-directional, and it doesn't have any control over the network, and it just spreads across, like, it broadcasts without any specific control. So that is the reason, like, it is called as less advanced than switch. But wherein the switch has a control, you can decide with whom you want to connect, and what is the data you are sharing, and which particular devices you are sharing. It will have a control, wherein hub doesn't have. So on a general terminology, at this moment you need to just understand, like, switch has a control, and it can designate to particular machine, and you can turn it on off based on your requirement. But wherein the hub doesn't have any control, and it is like, unidirectional, and you don't have a specific thing to manage. Now, the packet is nothing but, like, the data is measured in a form of packet. Now, everything whatever you use on a day-to-day activity are basically measured in some source. Like, if I say water can be measured in a format of liters, or probably, milk could be measured in liters, or probably like, if you wanted to buy any stuff, that could be measured in kilos. Or if you wanted to travel from one point to one another point, it is measured in the distance of kilometers, or like, the maybe miles. So that measurement of that particular data is called packet. The data is basically measured in packet. So a packet is a unit of data that is routed between an origin and a destination on a internet. It turns out that everything you do not you do on the internet involves packets. So if you are sending an email, so email consists of like, a message, and the message is having some binary, numeric and binary code language, that could be measured in the format of packet. So other way, for example, every web page that receives or comes as a series of packets, and every email you send leaves a series of packets. Networks that ship data around in small packets are called packet switched networks. Okay, so as of now, like, the data is measured in the form of packet. So you have a density of the volume, and that could be measured on the internet by sending the messages or emails or whatever the payload, that will have basically a volume, and that could be measured, that data is measured as packet, a unit of packet. Clear about the concept? Now basically, ఇది మనకు డే టు డే యాక్టివిటీస్లో ఇది యూజ్ అవుతుంది. అంటే, see, whenever we have a injection attempts, or any or anything like brute force or దాని రూట్ కాజ్ మనం ఆలోచించినప్పుడు ఒక అటాకర్ ఏదైనా మెషిన్ని ఆర్ ఎనీ సర్వర్ని అటాక్ చేసిండంటే వాడు అటాక్ చేసినప్పుడు బేసికలీ he will be creating some malicious payload. Now in other way, that payload is nothing but like the data or like the amount of the packet which involves in that particular payload is what we need to understand. అది సస్పీషియసా మలీషియసా, ఆ ప్యాకెట్లో ఏముంది, ఆ డేటాలో ఏముంది అన్నది మనం ఇన్వెస్టిగేట్ చేస్తాం. రూట్ కాజ్ అనాలిసిస్లో వి డూ. సో దాట్ ఈస్ ద రీజన్ this terminology, the packet, could be more frequently used terminology in our day-to-day activities while we are doing the SOC operations. Now the other point is a router, and if you look at the router, it's basically IS. If you look at the diagram, you will have a better understanding. I'll just go through this diagram. So if you see from the right side to left side, you have an ISP like a Google server is there, or in our case like Act Fiber is there, and basically you have opted for a connection at your home, and that service provider is giving a device, a network, a router device which is being established in your home or office. So that particular router, what it does is, with the help of the router only, we could able to have a different sources where you can connect to that local network, and inside the router we will have a switch. So that router has some capacity, like it could able to accommodate 15 machines or 15 devices or 10 devices depending on the range that router supports. Okay, so here if you can see the diagram, internet service provider will issue a router, a device which contains a switch, and this switch is able to give you a IP addresses to different end computers or laptops or mobile phones. So a router is a hardware device designed to receive or analyze and move incoming data packets to another network. It determines between way for a packet to be forwarded and its destination. So we have a NAT, which is network address translator, which is a method of remapping one IP address space into another by modifying network address information in IP header of the packet while they are in transmit across a traffic routing device. So basically the NAT will give the address based on the designated paths or designated machines. So it will have the capacity of routing the data. Now let's understand, we have you are connected at your home, and each of you are doing some activity over the internet. So now you are doing a kind of an activity where you are listening the online session. So your device is being connected to the internet with the help of router, and you and me are communicating or exchanging the information or exchanging the data. So I will be also connected to my home network, and whatever the communication which I'm doing at my home, this we are doing on a like on a channel where the ISPs are basically trying to communicate each other, and that's how you and me are connected over the network. So here the main sources where we are exchanging the data or the information or communication is happening is through internet, right? That is the only one source, right, where we are connected. Now how has this been achieved is, we have an ISP involved, like internet service provider is involved, and that internet service provider is giving us some router or switch, and also we are connected with our mobile devices or like laptops. That's how we could able to achieve this communication over internet. So if there is no internet, nothing can be happen. Now these online sessions could not be possible without the internet. So we are taking that path, we are utilizing that internet, and back and forth there are a lot of things which are involved. So yeah, now you are we are connected, we are seamlessly interacting with each other without any interruption. Probably like it will, our devices will have a capacity of like switching from Wi-Fi to mobile data to Wi-Fi, vice versa. So within the mobile also, this kind of like internal router will be functioning, and that has a switch. So for example, you have a hotspot where you could able to connect from or take the internet from other devices, and that's how you could able to achieve the communication, right? So if this is an overview or a generalized way how we are able to connect, but as a SOC analyst or as a a network person, or like a technical guy, you should able to understand like how the functionalities are happening, are achieving these communications in the backend, because that's where like you could able to mitigate some attacks. You could understand like what is the type of an attack, or how do we do the stop of that particular attack in the incident response life cycle. You could see like we should be able to prepare ourselves, or like you should be able to identify the attack, or if it is identified, you should be able to contain that attack. And post incident, like you should able to remediate, recover. So all these things could be achieved only once you understand the characteristics, functionalities of those uh, backend operations which has been involved, and that's how you could able to take the necessary actions towards the attack which has been followed on, right? So as of now, like we have covered these basic networking concepts, which was involved like NIC, MAC, IP addresses, and private IP addresses, public IP addresses, their differences, and other networking devices like switch, hub, packet, router. So far we have done this much. So in these next sessions, we will be involving like just to elaborated way, since you are communicated over the internet and you are trying to exchange data. So how is this could be achieved is with the help of this uh, these networking concepts, like we have LAN, WAN, MAN. So we will be looking at the what is WAN, what is MAN, and their differences between LAN and MAN, and how this could be achieved, and what is subnetting. And this follows like the data, how we are exchanging, and what that data, how you could able to encode, encrypt, hashing, that we will be looking in the next session. So tomorrow we will try to understand the uh, uh, other network concepts which involves LAN, MAN, and WAN, and what is subnetting, and how do the data could be encoded, encrypted, hashed, and followed with we will have some introduction on the OSA concepts. Got it? So what I'm doing is, if you could see here, I have recorded this session, and this recording session I will render it, and I will try to create one link so that it will not consume your uh, mobile or device data, or like storage, memory storage. So on this easy way, what I will do is I will create a one YouTube channel, and I will be uploading that this video to that YouTube or whatever the source, and we will have a link, and that particular document I will share you over the group, so that you can review it after the session or whenever you require, and we will have a proper documentation. So today, the date I will mention 6th November, we have done so and so topics, and we have a recording for the same. I'll share it across. Should make sense.